Sure, I floated a few fictional dead bodies in this body of water. Why not, you know?
Welcome to Stuck in Vermont, brought to you by 7 Days. My name's Eva Sahlberger, and we're on the Vermonter train. We took the Vermonter train down to Brattleboro from Essex Junction to meet up with Vermont author Archer Mayer, who has just finished his 24th Joe Gunther mystery novel.
But I've also killed a person or two on these tracks. So these are wonderfully creepy and dark, and occasionally, once in a blue moon, a homicide will in fact occur here. Oh, the municipal building in which Joe Gunther works.
Joe Gunther works here!
Yes, Joe Gunther works here.
And Willie Kunkel comes here too.
Yes, he does.
I've had people come up and say, you know, is this Brattleboro PD? Is this the PD that, you know, is portrayed in the Archer Mayer series?
But in Joe Gunther's world, homicides happen more
yes, more often. Yes, indeed.
So we thought we'd come down to the town of Brattleboro to see some of Gunther's favorite haunts.
The town of Brattleboro is sprinkled across a crazy quilt of hills, ravines, and twisting streams in Vermont's southeast corner. Main Street in downtown Brattleboro is a throwback to New England's late 19th century industrial era.
That's Vermont. So, did I make hay? Yeah, I made hay.
People ask me oftentimes, are you a native-born Vermonter? No, but I am a resident who has found his home. I've lived in 30 different places, more or less, kind of, sort of, by the time I was 30 years old. When you move from place to place to place to place to place, you don't have any real sense of identity. You don't have any affiliation. You don't even have a national flag in my case. I have now lived for 30 years in the same house, in the same village, in the same state. Brattleboro is just the weirdest town in Vermont. In case you haven't picked up on it, I'm a little bent myself. So I'm a dark guy. You can tell that from my general demeanor. Be afraid. Be very afraid. The dark. But you never want to sleep in your laboratory. So I actually live just outside Brattleboro. And I have to admit, 25 books later, I have barely scratched the surface.
25, I thought it was 24.
You're right. I'm writing the 25th. You know nothing about that. Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you the truth. The first thing that attracted me to the books was the fact that they took place around where I was in Vermont. And that's actually what drew me to them more than the police, criminal law things. I hadn't decided, I don't think, when I started reading them what I wanted to do when I became a lawyer. So I was really attracted to the fact that they were set in Vermont.
All the research for the locations, they're all real places, and so you learn about Vermont in a way that you might not have known otherwise.
One of the reasons we came to Vermont was because, one, my wife liked it, and two, I read the books. So when we finally moved here, my wife said, well, you're looking for a place to put your bookstore. Why not Brattleboro? And I said, oh, no. Too much crime, because I had read Archer's books.
I take the concrete of Brattleboro and turn it into my clay. But is it truly Brattleboro? No.
We're able to kind of have a fictitious world through Joe Gunther, but yet at the same time real world, and then they kind of just mash together.
I've been writing Joe Gunther since the mid-1980s. I've been writing, period, since the mid-1970s. Writing is actually quite laborious. So you labor to make it look easy, deleting and backspacing and thinking about cadence and rhythm and indeed poetry. So there's an element of seduction in good storytelling, and that relies on the music of the language. I stopped working 9 to 5 regular paychecks in 1978, and I've never looked back. There's little I haven't tried my hand at. I'm multiply employed. I write these murder mysteries. I work as an investigator for the medical examiner's office. So I'm a death investigator, but I'm also a law enforcement officer. Currently I carry a deputy sheriff's badge, but more recently I was actually working for the state's attorney.
He walked the walk and he talked the talk. So that's something that you have to really respect.
He is excellent as an investigator and detective.
And I can use my writing as a cop and as a death investigator. I write very good affidavits.
He's raised the bar considerably when it comes to our standard of writing our reports.
When I started this series, I wasn't a cop. I wasn't a medical investigator. I was just a writer. I first crossed your path. I'm an ME. You're doing a case. You don't know me from Adam's off Ox. But you hear I write these books. Most cops don't read these things. I already told you, I don't read these kinds of books.
I remember times where we were at a scene where he actually showed me, a blood pattern, a splatter on the wall, and he was explaining, how the droplets had formed and, what that tells you with the trajectory of the bullet. Well, this guy's actually for real.
I want to bring honor to what people like Eric do for a living.
So if we had more people like Archer who are able to actually write something that's entertaining but yet factual.
If I want to chronicle that world, I better know something about it. Obviously, these three jobs all totally interconnect, scratch each other's back. The symbiosis involved in all this is palpable. People understandably ask me quite often, are you Joe Gunther? How much of you is in Joe Gunther? I could only wish that I was Joe Gunther. I would contend that if you read enough of my books to really get a flavor for Joe, you too would aspire to start and end every day as Joe Gunther does. The man is a rock, but he's no superhero. What does he look like, for example? I don't know what he looks like because he's a voice to me. He's a presence in my head all the time.
But you get involved with them, and they become real people.
I have on a regular basis what I call Willie moments, because there's another standard character that I escort through this series of books named Willie Kunkel. He is short-tempered, judgmental, irascible, and foul-mouthed, but brutally honest. What do you know that we don't know, and who are your sources? I said, I make this stuff up. Life and activity and people doing things with and to each other. And that to me is fascinating. I'm a frustrated anthropologist. I love to know what people are doing to each other and why they're doing it. Now, would I ever, this is the caveat, would I ever take a real case and bring it to one of my novels? No, that would not be ethical. But do those environments influence the novelist? Well, duh. Of course they do.
Oddly enough, they feel both familiar but also so much more magical and interesting than they really are in real life.
That's the beauty of doing what I do, is that you can alter this imagery. You can change reality. For hours, I sat high above the state I was born and brought up in, lost in its comforting contours. Looking down across the spectacularly broken land, the rounded pastures and deep-cut gullies, the streams and lakes and forested mountains, all washed in the verdure that had given the state its name. Vermont gave me something I was missing my entire life. And it was a good life of exposure to culture and language and all sorts of strange critters. But Vermont gave me back my heart.
Archer Mayer's 24th Joe Gunther novel hit stores October 1st. And now it's time for us to take the train back to Essex Junction. And we'll get stuck with you again real soon.
All right, we hot?
We're hot.
I'll throw in my best reading voice. Main Street in downtown.
Beautiful. Oh wait. Work it, girl. So fierce.